So I'm 26 years old right now, which means that I've been graduated college for about 4 or 5 years or so, and it's May now, which means a lot of you are also going to be graduating soon. So first of all, congratulations, but it's got me thinking this time of year and just a couple things that have happened to me recently. What was life like when I was in college versus what's life like right now? Because that period of time, I'd say probably the period of time from like 22 to 26 has been the period of the absolute most change in my life, probably more so than the rest of my life combined, right? You have no idea what's coming because no one tells you about it. And so the things that have been happening to me recently that got me kind of thinking about this, one is like the time of year, everybody's graduating, moving up. But also, like, I've been coming into contact with a couple people from college, and not necessarily direct contact, but just seeing them that are in vastly different situations. And it's just been like so juxtaposed, right? You have people who were all in the same place, and now they're in such different places. And it just highlights how important those years right after college are, because you can go in such a different direction than another person. For example, I just met up with one of my buddies. He lived with me in college. We lived with like 6 guys in the dorm room, and we lived in like a 3-person and a 3-person connected by a bathroom. The hall was filled with those units, and it was guys and girls. And so I just connected with this guy with some of my other buddies as well, and he's doing great. He's got a wife, he's got a kid, he's got a house in the suburbs, he's got a job as a youth pastor. He's, by all definitions, living the American dream, right? He's successful. But then I saw this Facebook post the other day by this girl that lived literally like 2 doors down from us. She was on our same floor. We were all in this like 100 square foot radius. We were all right next to each other just like 6 or 7 years ago. And I saw this Facebook post from her that was like, please help me. I am running out of money for groceries and rent. I've been depending on my, boyfriend or whatever for everything. And please help. Here's my Venmo. Basically just asking for money from people, right? Just to try to help her out. And like, that kind of made me sad. I was like, it sucks that we were all in the same position. Me and my buddy and her and all of her dorm mates, we were all in the same place only like 5-6 years ago. And yet one of them is living the American dream and one of them is struggling. And so what happened in that 4 or 5 year time period that has caused such a dichotomy, such a split? So today I just wanted to talk a little bit about like, what can you expect when you graduate college? Because life is going to be so different and no one tells you about it. It's going to hit you like a truck. It's pretty much sink or swim. You'll succeed or you'll fail based on the things that are presented to you after your graduation. And make no mistake, the decisions that you make in college have lasting impacts for the rest of your life. Don't think that every decision you make in college is insulated, because now, I'm 26 years old. It's about this point in life, 25, 26 years old, where I started to notice that the decisions that people made in college had consequences that manifested down the road. And now they're starting to come up, and these people are all going different directions. Even though we were all in the same place, the people who made good decisions are in a better place now than the people who made bad decisions. So be very cognizant of those decisions you're making. I'm not saying don't go out and party. I'm not saying don't go out and drink and have fun and stuff. I did all that stuff and I'm doing just fine. And I know that you're all going to do that anyways, so there's no point in telling you not to. But if you have like a month until your graduation, think about these things and prepare yourself for them so that you can be set up for success. So I think that one of the biggest changes that I noticed from being in college versus being in like the quote unquote real world was that you have a lot fewer friends. When I was in college, I remember like going to parties all the time, going and hanging out with people in my dorm who like, we weren't necessarily best friends. My best friends were like the people I lived with, the people who were on the cheer team with me, and a few that were connected in those groups. We would always go to these parties or hang out and do stuff on the weekends or during the weekdays, or maybe you had a classmate that you were kind of friends with that you would do stuff with. Those people were just always there. You're all in the same place, and so it's really easy to go and be like, hey, you want to hang out? Hey, you want to hang out? Let's get a group together. Let's go party. Let's go, to the bar, to the club, or wherever you're going to go. And it was just fun, right? It was super easy. You could walk across the dorm and find someone to hang out with. When you graduate college, all of those people, they all disappear, except for the people that you keep in close contact with very purposefully. All those other people are going to be gone. And so it feels weird. Like you're sitting there on a weekend, like, all right, what am I supposed to do? I can call up my few buddies that I still talk to, and maybe the fringe friends, I call them fringe friends. Maybe the fringe friends will stick around for a little while, but eventually, I'm like I said, I've been graduated for 4 years. Almost all, probably starting last year, almost all of the fringe friends are gone, okay? And when I see them, it's like weird. Like I don't want to see them. So the thing is, you have fewer friends, but you like it. It's super weird. As a 26-year-old, I very much value my alone time, and I don't want to see a bunch of other people, and I don't have the time. Especially if you're someone who's motivated and wants to like move their life forward, you can't just spend all your time hanging out with friends. And especially friends who you don't really care about or who don't add much to your life, or maybe they don't really care about you that much, and it's just kind of like, oh, we used to hang out in college, so we want to keep it going because it'd be sad if the friendship died. You gotta be ready to let those things go, okay? Those friendships they were great. You know, they were really fun while they lasted, and they probably got you through a lot of hard times in college, and you probably related a lot to those people, but people move away, people pursue other things. There's no one in your life that's going to go on the exact same path as you. No one can fully understand you. And when you realize that, the friends that drop off, it's not that big of a deal. And the other part of that is the friends that stay become extremely, extremely important. So I don't want to fill my time with like fringe friends who I haven't talked to in years. You know, I met up with that buddy. I've known that guy that I was talking about who has a wife and kids. I've known him since I was 3 years old. I've known him for 23 years. And so I've known that guy for a long time, so I wanted to connect with him. But all these other people that are just fringe friends, I'm like, no. And so the people who are important to you, you will prioritize, and the people who are not that important to you are going to drop off. And that will become self-evident as you progress through life. You don't have to like cut this person out, this person stays, this person can stay. No, it's not like that. You kind of have to do that, but it's not like a purposeful thing. You kind of realize like, this person doesn't really help me in my life. This person is not really a good influence on me. Then you make the hard decision of like, that person's got to go. You know what I mean? And so if you don't do that, you're going to get pulled in too many directions, and you're going to be directionless, and you're not going to move forward in life, and your life is not going to be your own. But if you do that, it's hard, but it'll help you stay on a good path. And I think that's a big part of what makes someone successful versus what makes someone struggle, is like they keep these old friendships alive and they're not good for them. And so they hold them back. When you're in the real world, a lot of those friends are not going to be who you thought they were, and they're going to change and they're going to fall off. And that's a good thing. That means that you're pruning the branches. You're trimming the fat. You need to trim the fat in your adult life to move forward. You gotta get rid of the things that aren't good for you because they're gonna hold you back. You know, I right now probably have maybe like 6 friends, and that's like plenty. That's more than enough for me. I have a lot. I consider myself having a lot of friends at that point. Whereas in college, I would have said that I had like 40 some friends that I would talk to on a semi-regular basis. But that's just not possible when you're an adult. So the next biggest difference between college life and life in the real world, or like adult life, is that there's no built-in system of progression anymore, right? There's no like level up system. There's no first grade, second grade, third grade, all the way up to senior in college. Up until this point in your life, maybe you're a senior in college right now, and you're like 21, 22 years old. You're in college mostly with a bunch of other 21 and 22 year olds. You've all progressed through life at the exact same rate, regardless of who you are or what your accomplishments are. Yes, there's some variability, but for the most part, if you're passing your classes and you're going at the traditional kind of rate of progression, the system has dictated that rate, right? Everybody goes from year to year to year to year. After college, that no longer exists. And so that exposes people who were either pulled forward by the system or held back by the system. There are 2 types of people that the adult world exposes. And I think this is one of the most important things that determines the success of people or their failure after college is, are you intrinsically motivated or are you extrinsically motivated? Right? The extrinsically motivated people benefited from having that system of progression in place for their lives, because if it weren't for that system, they wouldn't move forward, right? If you're extrinsically motivated, that means that you don't have anything internal that's telling you, and not anything, it's all a spectrum, but you don't have that thing inside of you telling you need to move forward. So maybe these people were like, oh, I'm just going to college to please my parents. Maybe I'm just going to college because it's what I'm supposed to do and it's supposed to give me the good life. Maybe it's just like it was an easy decision. I didn't have to make any other decisions. When I was out of high school, if I went to college, that was an acceptable decision that no one questioned. All these things create someone who is extrinsically motivated, and those people are not going to succeed in the real world. If you're extrinsically motivated, then you're not in the real world. You don't have anything to extrinsically motivate you. You don't have anything outside of yourself other than maybe, peer pressure. You don't have any forced progression system in place. And there are a couple ways that this manifests. Some people just don't do anything. They're still in college mode, trying to party as much as they can, drinking, partying, doing drugs, just doing all the college things. There's something to be said about like, I'm not blaming anyone for doing that stuff in college. I partied all the time in college, but after college, I did other stuff. The person who doesn't move on from college is the person who needed that milestone system in place in order to move forward. And you have to move past that if you want to be successful. You have to change your mindset from extrinsically motivated to intrinsically motivated. The person who excels after college is the person who has that thing inside them that dictates their own steps in life. Because once that system goes away, these are the people who are like breaking free. Finally, I don't have to be held down by this year-to-year progression, and I can go at the rate that I want to, right? And those are the people who are mega successful after college, or who do something with their life because they have learned to create their own milestones, and they're always working towards something. They do their research on what they want to work towards, and then they work towards it. And that's like an intrinsic motivation. If you're graduating right now, take a look and really do some thinking and introspection about, are you extrinsically motivated or are you intrinsically motivated? Because if you're extrinsically motivated, you don't have to stay that way. You can think about, what do you want in life? Where do you want to be? Who do you want to be? And what do you want to do? And use those things, use those goals, really sit down, maybe write them out, but use those things, those questions and those answers as your driving force. That's the secret, is you have to use your why to motivate you to move forward. Otherwise, you're not going to do anything in life. And so this is the next difference, is that in college, you had a system in place that told you how to be successful and what to pursue. But after college, that doesn't exist anymore. Similar to how there's no forced progression, there's also no forced path, right? You got to choose your major, you got to choose what extracurriculars you did and all that stuff. But really, it was pretty much everyone was on the same progression again, right? So after college, there's no blueprint, which is a good thing for some people because they can do whatever they want, but it's a bad thing for others because there's no blueprint. There's no milestones to achieve. And so some people, what they end up doing after college is that they try to arbitrarily assign themselves milestones based on what the prevailing lifestyle, the prevailing, like what their parents did, or what is the traditional kind of path. They try to make those things into their own little milestones. For example, there's a lot of people who feel like getting married after college is the next milestone, then buying a house, then having a kid, and then what? Retiring? Like, so they try to like get all these milestones because, oh, that means I'm moving forward in life, but they might not be ready for those things. And it might not be the best thing for them. The number one artificial, arbitrary milestone after college is, I need to get married now. What that does is it forces a lot of people, if they have an existing crappy relationship, then they're going to try to force it and get married to that person to make them feel like they're moving forward in life, when in reality, they're shackling themselves. Okay, so you can't fall victim to this mentality of, okay, there's still a blueprint that I need to follow. Okay, there's not. You can do whatever you want. And if that scares you, then you need to take a look at what your goals are in life and where you want to be again, and figure out and self-educate yourself on how to get there, right? So that's the good side of this, is that you get to pursue whatever you want, but that means that you have more responsibility. Right? That means that you have to educate yourself and understand what's important to you, how do you pursue that thing, and then what's the result and what are the steps to get there. Right? For me, for example, I understood that I really needed to understand how to handle money if I wanted to be successful, and I wanted to be healthy so that I didn't have to, one, waste all my money on medical bills, and two, be hindered with lower energy levels, lower testosterone, all that stuff, which would prevent me from achieving the things I wanted to achieve. Right? I tried my best to understand these things early on, and I was like obsessive. When I got out of college, I was obsessed with reading articles on like budgeting, on like financial planning, investing. Like I started to get into like real estate investing books, and I read all these books on all these topics because I had someone who told me that these are the things that I needed to study. Right? They helped me along this path, but maybe you didn't have that person. I'm telling you right now, you need to self-educate on how to get by in the real world and then pursue those things, because otherwise you're going to be that failure to launch who's struggling and who's not doing well. And you're going to see all your peers achieving things ahead of you, and you're going to be like, what did I do with my life? I'm still trying to live in college. Meanwhile, everyone else is living in the real world. You do not want to be that person. So the next thing is something that I literally never thought that I would hear myself say, because it's cliche. It's like every time someone told me this, I was like, you're just an old person. Every old person says that, but it's true. And that is that in college, the days fly by and the semester drags on, right? In the real world, the days drag on and the years and months fly by. It's complete opposite paradigm. When you're in college, it's like, okay, I'm going to class. Okay, now I'm going to go do my extracurricular activity. All right, it's the end of the week, time to party, great. And then we do it all over again, and it's all just a blur, right? My college experience every week was a blur. I remember going to class, going to practice, getting home, and then I had a quiz the next day, and I would open my book, I would lay on the couch, and I would study it until I fell asleep, wake up in the middle of the night, keep studying until I fell asleep, and just do that on repeat until the next day. And it was literally, it felt like there was not enough hours in the day to do everything. But at the same time, it felt like, oh my gosh, I still have so many months and years left of this crap, right? I was like, the semester is dragging on, it's week 6 or whatever, and I'm like only halfway through, and this is taking forever. I just want to be done. In adult life, you have a lot of time. Maybe you're trying to even be healthy and go the extra mile. So then you work, maybe you work out, maybe you cook your own food. But most of it, you still have a lot of time left after that, right? Most people feel that with Netflix, watching sports, TV, video games. And so what a lot of people end up doing is they say stuff like, oh, it passes the time. You ask them like, oh, do you like this activity that they talk about? They're like, it passes the time. And then those same people wake up 10 years later and they're 32 years old or 33 years old. And they're like, where did all this time go? Well, you passed it by. You know what I mean? Like you wasted it on Netflix, on watching sports or whatever it is. Like you wasted it. You passed it by. You said that you were doing that too. You knew exactly what you were doing. And so to avoid this danger, again, this goes back to intrinsic motivation and self-educating yourself. Like that's the biggest thing here is you have a lot more time on your hands. And so for me, you know, like what I try to do is I work out in the morning, then I'm working, and then I'm working on other stuff, like other activities. Like right now I'm filming this YouTube video and that takes a lot of time. And so when I'm doing these things, it feels like it did when I was in college because my schedule's full of things that I'm working towards. I'm trying to move forward and I'm doing things that are enriching to my life. When I'm not doing these things, life very quickly feels boring, like I'm waiting to fill up the time. And so if you're about to graduate right now, really take the time to think about this intrinsic motivation piece because that is the single thing that's going to dictate whether you try to pass the time and then you wake up 10 years down the road again, like, where did this time go and what have I done? Because you've done nothing. Versus someone who takes the time to plan out their life, takes the time to set goals and move towards those goals. And then they look back 10 years and they think of, holy crap, look at all this stuff I accomplished. Because most people overestimate what they can accomplish in like a few months. But most people underestimate what they can accomplish in 5-10 years if they put their mind to it. But a lot of people just don't put their mind to anything after college because again, no one's telling them what to do anymore. And so real quick, the last thing is that you find out that college really didn't prepare you for anything and you really just have to figure out everything in adult life as you go along. College didn't teach you personal finance. It didn't teach you how to budget, didn't teach you how to save money to buy a house, didn't teach you how to job hunt, didn't teach you how to manage relationships with difficult coworkers, didn't teach you how to negotiate for like salaries or anything else. Doesn't really teach you any of the important life skills. All it is a series of arbitrary educational topics that are put in place as kind of a rite of passage, and hopefully they're related to something that you're interested in or something that you want to work in. You can't really know anyways because your brain is still forming, and so how are you supposed to make this decision that impacts the rest of your life? But this is the system we live in, so we have to figure it out the best we can. So overall, the main takeaways for this video are that 1, you have to blaze your own trail after you graduate. And no one's going to do it for you. There is no system in place that's going to force you to move forward. And so you can either stay in the same place or you can move forward to wherever you want. And don't write this off. Take some time to like go outside with like a pen and paper or your phone note and just think about overall, try to zoom out as best you can and think about what do you want your life to look like? What are your goals? What do you want to pursue? What mark do you want to leave on the world? And just write those things down. Because then after you graduate, you'll have the opportunity and the freedom to educate yourself on how to do those things and how to move towards those goals and how to mold your life into what you want it to be. And then nothing's there to hold you back. You get to do it at whatever pace and whatever speed you want. But that comes with the added responsibility that you have to actually do something. And again, this planning thing is really important because you will not be able to move forward if you don't know where forward is. So really take some time to think about this. Also, try not to F it up too bad when you're in college so that when you're my age, you don't feel too bad about yourself and you don't wake up with too much regret, because if you make a lot of mistakes, you will regret it. So try not to F it up too bad, but still enjoy your experience. Obviously, you know, I enjoyed mine. All my friends, we had a great time together, and I really think that's part of the experience and it's a good thing, but just try to balance it out. Okay, you're gonna thank yourself later if you try to do these things and you try to kind of be at least a little bit future forward thinking. I know it's hard and it feels like it's a million miles away, but the time's gonna fly by. Like I said before, the last takeaway is that once you graduate, the days are gonna drag on, but the years are gonna fly by. So make sure you take advantage of each and every day and try to set a goal that you can move towards every day, because then it's gonna feel like no day is wasted, like your life is moving in a good direction, and you don't wanna be that person that wakes up 10 years down the road wondering where the time went. So with that, I hope this video was a little bit helpful or insightful to you guys. Good luck if you're graduating in this next upcoming month or even in the next few years. I wish you guys the best of luck on your journey. If you want to hear anything else about my experience or you have questions, please put them down in the comments and I will make a video to answer them. Like I said, I've been out of school for 4 or 5 years now. So I have a little bit of experience of the real world and I'm still learning a lot, but I can hopefully provide you guys a little bit of a fresher perspective than, let's say, your parents could on what life is like after graduating college. So with that, oh, and subscribe, and that's it. I will see you guys in the next one.